So that was just light coming directly from the top and the side, directly from the top and the side. But what if it's a little bit of an angle? So the light's coming in from the top, yeah, but also from the front a little bit. Okay, how do you work out that? That's a little bit trickier, but not too bad here. So let's put these things aside for a second and show you the concept. So here is a cylinder, very much like these other ones that you're going to draw down below. And so I've got the light coming in like this, right? It's coming in from the front and from the top. Okay, so how do I work out where that shadow is? How do I work out where that shading is? Well, I'm going to show you. So here I tried to draw a diagram that would be as simple as possible, but basically it's like this. You got two angles. You've got the angle of the light that's coming in from up above, and you've got the direction of the light from down below. So the light's coming in from the front, that's the direction that it's going. And from the top, that's the angle that it's going. And so where those two things meet, that's where your shadow is going to be. Okay. So I even drew it like through here. So if you've got your cylinder here, right, and then you've got your line straight down, here's your other oval that's making up the cylinder straight here. So that was the center. Let me just draw it for you. Oh, and then where it hit, see how that's coming down? You see where it hits the edge right here? Well, then that's where you know the shading is. That's where you know where the shading is for that cylinder. So, right, let's take a look at that in practice. So if I've got a cylinder right here, and I'm going to go ahead and draw my outlines kind of dark so you can really see it well. And so here would be the top oval. And I've already sort of pre-drawn this so I wouldn't be wasting your time and I can do a good job of it. But there's your top oval. And so then here's your bottom oval right here, right? And it's, just for our purposes right now, they're about the same size, these ovals. Okay, all good. And then, you're just going to bring it down. And so I've got my cylinder, right? Okay. So now I say like, okay, my light's going to come in this direction, from this angle right here, and it's going to be coming in from this direction right here, right? So from the front and from the top. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to say like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and maybe find the center here. So it's gonna come down from this angle here. All right. And it's gonna come from this direction over here. All right. And boom, right where those things meet, that would be the center of, well, actually a third oval, wouldn't it? Because remember when I was doing the telephone pole, I gave you this example. So you've got a telephone pole like this, and sort of the amateur thing to do would be to go like this as far as the shadow goes. And that would just be wrong, right? Instead, if you had a telephone pole like this and it was going, the shadow was going back this way and your angle was coming this way, right? Then that's where the top of the telephone would be. Then these things, the light's going to hit. So like here, right? So here would be this right here, and then light coming into the same place. So here, and I could do the same thing with the bottom one here, but suffice it to say that it would come like this. See, so flat. So that's the telephone pole. Same thing, like I said before too. Go stand outside with your arms outstretched. Or for our purposes here, if this is this oval here, then your shadow is going to have that same oval. And the kids, you know what they do. You know what they do. They do this. They've got a cylinder, cylinder, right? They got that cylinder drawn. What do they do with their shadows? They go and they make it like this. I don't know why. They just do, right? They just do. We could get into psychology, but I won't for now. Anyways, it's just like if this is the oval, then this is the oval. If the oval is flat this way, it's going to be flat this way. Okay, good enough, good enough. So, and just like before, your light's coming off the edge here, right? So you know how big that oval is going to have to be here and here. And then this is going to match it, isn't it? It's going to come off of here. It's going to come off of here. And you can see this is where my shadow is. That's where my shadow is. That's where my shadow is. So is this starting to make sense here a little bit? Okay. So now why was it important to draw this middle one? Because you could have just drawn this edge here, right? And this edge here and get this same oval, sure, from here and here. But what this center one really helps you with, besides just organizing it in the first place, is it gives you this point here, right where the center line intersects the side. That's where that edge is going to be, right? That's where that edge is going to be. That's where that edge is going to be. Hopefully this is making sense now, right? Take a second to look at that and look at this and see how one thing corresponds to another. Here, I don't know, take a screenshot of it, do something, right? But that is the diagram of that shadow right there. Okay. You know what? Practice a few times. And if it looks right, then it probably is. Okay. So you practice that a few times. Hopefully that has helped out a little bit. And then maybe you come back to these guys right here. And you try and keep it at least a little bit simple. And you say like, okay, so I've got my sphere right here. And I've got my cylinder right here. I'll draw those a little bit so you can see those outlines. And I've got my cube right here. Okay, so I'm going to have my light coming down here. So that's the angle of that light. But the direction of the light is going to come, instead of just being just from the side, it's going to be coming from the front. So here's the direction of the light here. I'll do the same thing over here, do the same thing over here, right? And so if I've got the direction coming this way, then my shadow is going to be over here. And since my shadow is over there, okay, so the same shading applies here in between those two things. That's going to be where my shading is. Over here, remember, so I've got, if this is where my shadow is going to come, right? Here's the center, parallel. Then that's where that center of that oval is. That's going to be where that oval is. Same oval. Okay. And that's where that intersects. So you know that. You know, and if any of this seems confusing, just practice. You know, I've got my hidden lines that I don't really see of the cube right here, but that's informing me of that this is coming this way, right? And it's intersecting here. But also we've got our parallel line coming out here. And then where's this going, right? Same thing. If it's coming here, then that's where it's going to end. So that's how I get that shadow over there. Okay. And let me just erase some of the lines that I don't need anymore, those guidelines, and let's see if it works out. Okay. Hopefully this isn't too confusing. The thing about this is that it just gives you a working idea, some sort of a guideline that you can hang on to try and make things look good. because eventually, all these sort of understandings are going to help you with observational drawing, right? Seeing things for real. And when you see things for real, you're going to see that all this sort of, mm, how could I say it? All this conceptual stuff. Oh, that's the right word right there, conceptual. You're going to see that how in real life, that's what it does. And it's going to help you to see in real life how to draw things because, like I said before, you've got this symbol system in your head. And so the idea of really seeing the how one thing is separated from another, in other words, the line quality of a real thing, seeing the line quality of something when like I said before, life doesn't have outlines. You're going to see that a lot better now. You're going to see how light and shadow act on things so that you have reflected light, shadows, where they will fall, how you can see them. So here, once again, we're going to go light. And this is the angle. Remember, it labels things. And this is the direction. Okay, so here I've got right here is my darkest area. Here, let me just do a little bit of erasing here. That'll help. I don't need any of these things anymore. Okay, but we know where all this is that darkest core part of that shadow. Okay, then it's going to get a little bit softer. Okay, it comes around that way. The shadow is coming off of here. We know that it's got that oval that matched this oval right here. We know that it is darkest at its core, and it gets a little bit softer as it goes away from the object. Okay, maybe a little bit of reflected light as it comes around there. Okay, and here also we've got this, which is going to be a little bit brighter up front because that's where that light is coming from. We'll keep that pretty light. It's going to be pretty light up on top because once again, that's where that light's coming from. But a little bit darker back here because that's where the shadow is. And then, of course, the shadow as it comes back, darker, becoming lighter. All right. And once again, I suppose, if you're just watching these without listening to it, you could probably sort of get it looking kind of right-ish. Just, monkey see, monkey do. But would you really understand what was going on? Would you really be able to do it not watching me? That's the point, right? Okay. So, anyways, we got these angles coming this way and that way. And that's good, right? So we've got angles that are directly from the top and the side. And then we've got the one now that has a little bit more of an angle to it. So once again, we've labeled the light, we've labeled the angle, we've labeled the directions. We're going to call this drawing. And that's number 9 in our little series here. And what does it have to do with? It has to do with forms, with light, and my little ampersand, shadow. So we dealt with all of them so far, right? Line, value, shape, and form. Because we did, right? We dealt with the line. The line quality, remember here, is going to be darker than it is over here. So we dealt with the line. We dealt with the values, obviously, lights and darks. The shapes, we made shapes, and then we turned them into the forms using the values once again. Okay, and so put your name on it. And put your period on it, or periods, as the case may be, and put it as exercise 9, so that when I flip through these things, I can just see that you got everything. Cool. And so that's it. So now, just in the same way that we turned the shapes into pictures, we're going to turn these forms into pictures as well.